Dr. Jaishankar addressed the issue of the global south, saying Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said time and again that India has emerged as the voice of the global south and that this would be the abiding legacy of India's G20 presidency. Listen in to what he said in this interview.
There have been G20 summits before. No other G20 presidency made an effort to get together the developing countries who are not on the table and say, please come sit with us, tell us what are your concerns, and we will distill those concerns and place it before the G20. That's a very unique exercise. Nobody has done it before. So if we have taken the trouble, and we meaning here Prime Minister Modi himself, if 125 countries have been consulted, feel today, yes, what we told India, India has promised us that they will put that issue on the table. I think they have a lot of expectation of India. And as far as the rest of the G20 is concerned, they know that, look, we have always in G20, outside the G20, India has a reputation of being a very constructive player, someone who bridges divides, who kind of somewhere helps to fix problems. So there's a lot of goodwill that we have, and again, I stress to you, I am confident that every one of the G20 coming to Delhi will understand the responsibility that they bear, will understand today that the other 180 countries of the world are looking to them to set directions, and that they cannot afford to fail them.
Let's go back to Sri at this point. Sri, the External Affairs Minister essentially is saying what has been said by multiple other ministers, including the Prime Minister himself in recent months, that India has emerged as the voice of the global south and that this is going to be the leitmotif of India's G20 presidency, and that this is what in fact makes India's G20 presidency unique and unlike any other.
Absolutely, Neha. So I think India does have the moral authority to be heard by these developing countries, which at the moment feel marginalized. Why? Because, our ethos as a country is reflected in our foreign policy as well. Now, we were a country that was colonized. We have been plundered, but our answer to all those issues have been ahimsa. We did not wage a bloody battle with the British to throw them out. I mean, we got our independence peacefully. Now, as the foreign minister also mentioned, India, therefore, is seen as a country that is ideally placed to play the role of a peaceful negotiator, a mediator, a bridge between a world which increasingly is getting polarized between US and Europe on the one hand and China and Russia on the other. This is a dangerous polarization, Neha. And we need a sensible, rational voice with authority, which can not just talk about its own interest, but also the interests of other countries, which are probably not at the high table of global affairs, for them to have a seat, a voice, and be heard, and their interests taken into account. And I think a lot of these countries have great, sort of comfort with India as a leader which can actually be their voice, be sure that we take care of their interests, we take them along, because that is what the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam philosophy is all about. I mean, India is not talking about just growing it, on its own. There can be no prosperity or peace if we just focused on ourselves as one country. Now we know that how immigration problems of one country are spilling over into another country and creating massive social issues and problems in those countries. So I think India is ideally placed, Neha, and which is again why I would say that it was important that someone like Xi Jinping should have been there, so that we are able to establish this new role and give peace a chance and not hurtle the world towards, again, a dangerously polarized world where the Western powers are facing off against China and Russia, Neha. So I think that's an important role India needs to play. And I hope when Brazil picks up the presidency later this year, that they are able to continue this momentum which India has built and play as much a role as we have, over the last 1 year, Neha.
Well, absolutely. India can certainly take credit for that, and hopefully India's presidency will be remembered for exactly this.